Trend 3, utility. And I think utility is back, but it's back in a very different way. And this is a utility stocking, which doesn't look too terribly comfortable, but that's what people were wearing in 1946. Utility is different from that, though. Utility is all about two-way streets, really. It's about give and take between brands and their consumers. And it's been enabled by three things. The economic turmoil in which we find ourselves, the fact that we are all connected. And in fact, Forrester have just invented a new word called the splinter net, which I think is fantastic, which means that I can access the internet and have devices that are synced across several platforms like Mac, like PC, like iPad, like my phone. And also the new trust. Who'd have thought 10 years ago that you'd trust someone in a different city or even a different country to take your money, wrap up something they didn't want anymore, and send it to you? But eBay is a fantastic example of that. And I don't know if you may know this story. The guy that launched eBay had a kind of inkling that he could get people to trust each other online. And so what he did was he put a broken laser pointer up for sale on his blog. It's very clear about the fact it was a broken laser pointer. And somebody bid $14.83 for it. And he thought, hang on. I better make sure this is all right. So he emailed the guy and he said, look, you do realise this is a broken laser pointer you're just about to pay almost $15 for. And the guy emailed straight back and said, yeah, I collect broken laser pointers. Who knew? Value is really important in this trend, and we all know about giving people value for money and more recently value for time. But also, people are starting to demand money for their attention. If you didn't think your eyeballs were worth anything, think again. Because in beta right now is a website called Attention Me. You can get paid by Attention Me for reading emails from businesses that it also charges to get their emails to the top of your inbox. And also, it can be about deriving value from your assets. So it's not just about what you spend and what you save, it's what you can make. eBay's a fantastic example of it. And anything in people's lives with what a very clever lady called Rachel Botman calls idling capacity. Idling capacity is stuff that you have that isn't in use. So, for example, those of you who've got cars, be cheered to know that on average, your car has 23 hours a day of idling capacity. For 23 hours a day, it does the square root of nothing. How can you build a business out of that? Well, someone has thought about that. Streetcar, for example, have adapted cars so that people can use them whenever they want for short journeys and pay by the hour. And there are new models emerging as well. You can have your own car adapted using technology so that people can rent it while it's sat parked and doing nothing for you. And the big boys have gotten in the act as well. Peugeot's new Muse scheme means that you can rent anything with a Peugeot badge on it by the day, whether it's a people carrier or a moped. Benefit to them, thousands of people paying to test drive their vehicles. A smart move. Other things that have idling capacity are things that have diminishing interest, things that are no longer exciting to you. Love Film is a great example of that. The last time you bought a DVD, you probably bought it once, put it in a cupboard, and then didn't look at it again for at least 6 months. Using the Love Film model, you can experience it without owning it. And Love Film's business model is moving increasingly online, where many of these experience rather than ownership businesses will live. Things that are no longer needed, other things that have idling capacity. Anyone who's recently or about to have a baby will be charmed to know that you can spend up to £1,800 on a pushchair. Someone's got in the act already. There's a Scottish firm called Mini Lodgers who will let you rent by the month, apart from the babies, everything you need. So you can get baby grows, you can get toys for them. You just send it back at the end of the month and another pack arrives. Really, really smart use of understanding that people need to use things and experience them. They don't necessarily need to own them. Right. That's it for the three trends. I think it's really important to say, though, that those three trends don't exist in isolation. They're not hermetically sealed from each other, and they overlap each other in lots of new and interesting ways. The first thing that you need to know is which strategy can you possibly benefit from? Which coping strategy are your target audience in your market most likely to use? Because as we said earlier, there's a kind of right and a wrong side to be on each kind of coping strategy. So for example, M&S were busy trying to get me not to go out and swap my Valentine's meal out for a 20 quid M&S dinner in. Pizza Express were trying to tell me not to stay in and go out for pizza on Valentine's. Everyone's trying to get me to be on the right side of their swap. And it's really important to know what your audience are thinking of doing in terms of your market. So which behaviours are going to be good for you, which behaviours are going to be bad for you. And we've got research methodologies plans to show you exactly that. And indeed, some of the data stuff that we've got already, because it can be cut in many, many different ways, is starting to show that. Also thinking about what your role in Fortress Me is. How can you become an absolute need? How do you get beyond that velvet rope into their personal space and bond with them? Have you got idling capacity? Is there stuff in your business that you can work out how to sell? Or indeed, have your audience got idling capacity? Is there anything you can do to help them make money or reduce the cost of what they're buying? So that's it from me, really, apart from saying that if you would like to get in touch with us about any of the things we've talked about today, you can direct message us on Twitter at RAPP_UK. If you hashtag your question or your request with austerity, we'll know it's about this. You can email us at hello@uk.rapp.com, or you can join in our discussion at LinkedIn /business/RAPP. Or hey, if you want to be really radical, you can call us. There's a phone number here, okay?